My group chat is back. I want to tackle some things Juliet said, but I also want to get to this Alien Enemies Act question, because what this judge said is going to go far and wide. It gets to the point of due process. What are the circumstances under which you have due process, and can you show that you've been doing that?
Right, and we've been seeing folks, the administration, the judge, go back and forth for a few days now, debating whether or not this move by the Trump administration was valid, was reasonable under the statute right there that you mentioned. I think something that's important to note as we wait for this three-judge panel to rule is that whatever happens is likely going to be appealed to the Supreme Court, and it's going to be fascinating to see how the Supreme Court handles this matter. We, of course, know it's very explosive.
Yeah.
It's dealing with...
And we're all kind of like skipping to the Supreme Court part. I feel like I've had some version of this conversation a couple times, which goes, they get it to court, then they get it to the Supreme Court. There's still a ways to go in between. But, Chuck, it's abstract to talk about. Like, I feel like trying to talk about this with my relatives, they're like, great, that sounds good, but they don't know why they should care about this.
I think it's just one of the spokes in the wheel of frustration of people where you have to follow the rules. I think folks can agree if there's somebody dangerous in this country, they'd like them not to be in this country. I'm not arguing. This is about following the rules.
But we're also a country that believes that, like, in a way, the rules don't apply to people who have done bad things.
That's a good point. But what I'm saying is that the point you're making about the rules and about bad things all are relevant to each other. And we have a due process, and we have rules you have to follow. When Donald Trump doesn't follow the rules, or his administration doesn't follow the rules, folks see that. They're like, I have to play by the rules every single day. Hell, my wife reminds me every day, I got to play by the rules because I'm the first one to want to break the rules. But we have to follow the rules, even if you're the president.
Okay, Jamil, I want to turn to you and a little back to what Juliet was saying, because she brought up several points in which fundamentally this, as the New York Post calls it, Operation Overshare, was just not following the rules, right? In so many ways, using an open source app, not using the computers you're supposed to, all the like basics, frankly. So should someone be fired? Will someone be fired?
Well, look, it certainly doesn't look like the president's aiming that way. All the conversations with him thus far in the last 24 hours have been, well, I don't really know what's going on. I didn't hear about it, which is, of course, crazy. Of course, the president heard that his senior national security leaders are talking on Signal and discussing war planning or strikes in Yemen, making decisions and the like.
It also means Goldberg exited the chat, and in Signal it says, someone has left, and nobody said a word, right?
Well, so here's what gets interesting, right? So this JG leaves the chat. Nobody knows who JG is. There's two theories about the case, right? It could have been Jamison Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative, right? That may have been who they thought they were adding. It might have been somebody fat-fingered it. You know, the D and the J, you're adding J.D. Vance, the D and the J and the G are close to one another on your keyboards, my son pointed out. So, you know, he's like, you old people, you all might just hit the wrong buttons, right?
I mean,
so
fat fingers is not better than Operation Overshare, to be honest. I want to ask a question also about this idea of potential threats going forward. If you're a foreign adversary, it seems like you're excited. You're taking notes. What are they learning from this experience?
Well, look, you've got the worldwide threats hearing today. We know the Biden administration said it was China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. Transnational threats were like 3/4 of the way into a 40-page document. Terrorism was at the end of that. I think the Trump administration will switch that up. We'll see what Tulsi Gabbard says. It'll be very interesting to see what she says, trying to coordinate with all the intelligence communities telling her.
But is there any way the Democrats don't ask about this today?
Oh, it's 100% coming up. It's going to come up at every confirmation hearing going forward. It's going to come up in every national security conversation. And they're going to make the point, you came after Hillary Clinton on the server. Now you guys are on Signal doing this. What's the difference? Why should we trust you?